Hey there, and welcome to a new series of videos that's going to go over my process on building a settlement. So this settlement in specific is going to be Egret Marina, if you can't tell already. And what I'm going to do is go through each step of my process in building a settlement, which is going to go through, the basics, such as scrapping and planning, like in this video, and then eventually go on to more detailed stuff like decorating and setting up electricity and all that kind of crazy stuff. Now each of these steps I try to break down into their own separate video or section, but as you'll see as time goes on throughout the videos, they do overlap a little bit. Like I don't just completely scrap everything to start with. I try to, but obviously I'll miss some things, so I might scrap things later. Um, or I might change my plan as time goes on. But, each of these is supposed to give you a framework of what to do in order to make planning a settlement easier, which is what I've tried to do. So this first video, like I said, is going to be a little bit shorter. It's going to go over scrapping and planning, and I'll kind of give you some tips and tricks that I have with myself in planning these, and we'll just go from there. Alright, so the absolute first thing I ever do when I come to a settlement is look at everything that I can scrap, because there's always so much stuff you can get rid of. And luckily, thanks to the power of modding, there are a lot of really good mods out there that allow you to scrap pretty much anything. I'll list some of them in the description of this video if I remember. Sometimes I don't, I'm pretty forgetful. But honestly, they're almost essential to making your settlement planning and building easier. So what I like to do when I first get to a settlement is look around and see what things I could use later, what things I could replace, and what things I just really don't want. Now as you can see, for here for example, a lot of this stuff you can't replace, and I thought about it, and I decided I'd do something different with this area that doesn't involve shelves, so I got rid of these shelves. So this encompasses a lot more than just going through and scrapping all the debris and stuff that mods help you with, but also planning out your areas a little bit. Another thing to note is that you have to be extremely careful when you're scrapping things, especially when you have mods on that let you scrap anything, because as you can see a lot, things that I don't want to scrap get highlighted, like these sidewalk tiles, and this building, which you can apparently completely scrap this entire building, which I have done, and it was a terrible mistake. So if you're not very careful with scrapping, since there's no undo button, stupidly, you'd probably have to reload a save or try and work around it. Sometimes I try to work around it if I didn't save, which, another good point with pre-planning, save a lot, because you can definitely screw yourself over an accident. But yeah, so the big things you want to remember with scrapping is that, number one, save a lot. Because if you use mods to scrap everything, you might mess up, and going back and just re-scrapping everything is absolutely the worst. Step number two, walk around for a little bit when you first get there. See things that you might want to keep, you might want to replace, and just what you don't want, and that'll help you as well. Number three, go around and just start scrapping section by section. That's the easiest thing that I found to do, walk into a building and scrap everything in there, walk outside, scrap stuff around it, and then move out from there. That'll help you a lot with knowing kind of where you've been and trying not to forget things. So yeah, that's pretty much the basics of scrapping. I'm not gonna lie, scrapping does take you forever, and this took me, I want to say like 25-30 minutes, not including the times that I screwed up and had to restart because I scrapped the wrong thing. Again, saving! So I cut this down really short because it's pretty simple, Work in sections, see what you want to keep, see what you don't, and that's it. So next we're going to go into planning, which is way more involved. So we'll have fun. Okay, official part number one, planning. I'm not gonna lie, this is one of my favorite parts, because this is when you really start to see your vision come to life. So to start off with, what I like to do is to, first come to a settlement and take a second to look around, decide what I'm going to scrap, what I'm going to keep, blah, 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 blah. And then after that, I go into the planning phase, which to me means, walking around and kind of seeing, all right, this area is set up for this sort of thing, or it'd be good for this. So when I did that, what I decided I wanted to do with Egret Tours Marina was turn it into like a safe settlement, a big place where people can come in from the wasteland and feel safe, and set up a life there. So as you can see, the first thing I wanted to do was go ahead and build a wall around one of the areas that would keep people safe. And that goes into the next part, which is setting up your areas. Now, when I build big settlements like this, I like to have things split up into areas or districts. And as you can see what I'm doing now, I've got my wall set up, and I've decided, okay, I want this part of the raised pier area to be a district, and the area farther closer to the waterfront to be another district. So I'm kind of setting up more fencing to separate them and split them up. And obviously, if this isn't how you work, you don't have to do this sort of thing. You can just go around and say, alright, this would be a good area for some shops, this would be an area for residences, and just leave it at that. You don't have to have things split off by walls, obviously, it's up to you. But I like to do that in certain situations. To me, this is a good setup for doing that. Now other areas you'll see, like later on, I don't really make a difference between this central market area and the residences where that big fence was at the beginning of this. It just kind of depends on what you want to do and what think looks best for your settlement, and what looks realistic if that's what you're going for, which I usually try to. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of planning. Just walk around, take a second to decide, number one, what you want your settlement to be about. Number two, what your areas are going to be. Number three, if you need fencing or dividers or anything to separate them. And then just getting that all put together and set up so that you can get going on your next section. Alright, so that's basically it for part one, scrapping and planning. I know it's pretty simple and pretty basic, but the really important steps, and it helps out a lot if you start with that and move on to other stuff later. So next time we'll go into the fun stuff, actually starting our building, and we'll just go from there. I hope you're excited because I sure am. Thanks so much for watching my video. I really appreciate it, and I really hope you liked it. Here's another video of mine that YouTube thinks you might like, so, if you want to, take a look. Or don't. Also totally up to you. Your call. Anyway, I'll leave you alone, and I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I see you around. Bye!